So how do you watch and follow the Canadian Premier League? Onesoccer is a Canadian soccer subscription channel. It broadcasts every CPL game. It also broadcasts Canadian men's and women's national team games. Onesoccer's motto is the home of Canadian soccer, and it is. Fubo is a soccer specialty subscription channel. It provides Onesoccer and the CPL in its package, as well as many other leagues in the world. Now, what about the big Canadian sports networks like TSN and Sportsnet? Do they cover the CPL? Well, TSN and Sportsnet do not broadcast any CPL game. Not one. Not even the finals. But what about basic web coverage? Scores, standings, stories? If you go to the TSN website and go to the soccer section, you can see the Euros, Copa America, MLS, the Prem, German, Spanish, Italian, France, Champions League, and World Cup. The More tab has Women's World Cup stuff. But no Canadian Premier League. All these leagues from other countries, but not Canada. How is the coverage of leagues in other countries? Pretty good. For example, in the Italian Serie A tab, you can see game results, standings, etc. Same with the France Ligue 1, etc., etc. But where are the results and standings for our own Canadian Premier League? Nowhere. What about coverage for other similar small market Canadian sports, say lacrosse? Yep. Scores, standings. They have Aussie rules football, and Taiwan beats Venezuela in Little League, but no Canadian soccer. If you search the website for CPL articles, you can see only 4, and they are 5 years old. It's shocking and frankly hypocritical that TSN shows the national team games and act like they are big supporters, but have zero coverage of the Canadian professionals that will be the pipeline for Canadian talent. Let's hope TSN's coverage improves now that Bell has no ownership in the Toronto MLSE teams. More on that later in part 3. What about Sportsnet? Same as TSN. In the soccer section, you can see England, Spain, MLS, Italy, Germany, France, standings and scores, but no Canada. Here's something interesting. What about coverage outside of Canada? Can you watch CPL games internationally? Surprisingly, yes. India, the UK, Mexico, the USA, Africa. You can even see games in Nepal. So, why can you watch CPL games in Nepal, but you can't even see the scores or standings on TSN or Sportsnet? Maybe TSN and Sportsnet think the CPL just isn't good enough to cover. So, how good is the CPL compared to the MLS? Is it even close? Every year, the best team in Canada is decided by the Canadian Championship. Before the CPL, it used to be between the 3 MLS clubs, Montreal, Toronto, and Vancouver. But it has grown. It now includes the 8 CPL teams and the best teams from League 1 Ontario, League 1 Quebec, and League 1 BC. This is the acid test of the health of the Canadian soccer pyramid. So what happened? How did the CPL teams fare? In the first series, the Hamilton CPL team Forge first tied, then beat CF Montreal, the MLS team. CPL eliminated the MLS team. In the next series, the Calgary CPL team played the Vancouver Whitecaps, the winners of the last 2 Canadian championships. They lost the first game, but then won the second. They were tied in wins and goal difference, but the Whitecaps advanced because they had more away goals. Then CPL Forge played Toronto FC. They won the first and lost the second. Again, equal wins and goal difference, but TFC advanced on away goals. At this point, CPL had more wins than the MLS teams. But the Whitecaps then won both games against CPL Pacific from Victoria. The final tally, CPL 3 wins, 1 tie, and MLS 4 wins. The MLS edged out the CPL, but it was close, very close. And I would say the CPL is definitely good enough to cover on TSN and Sportsnet. At the very least, the scores, standings, and some stories. By the way, how did the non-professional League One teams do against the professional CPL teams? The TSS Rovers for League One BC tied CPL Pacific, but lost in a shootout. That officially counts as a tie. The Ligue 1 Quebec team CS Saint-Laurent also tied CPL Halifax, but they won in the shootout. The non-professional, amateur, young Canadians going to school and having normal jobs tied the professionals. To me, this says there's a wealth of Canadian players that would be playing professionally if they were in almost any other country in the world.